All right, we are live once again. Hello, everyone. It's probably taking everyone a moment or two to come in, but we'll go live for the last few minutes or half hour of the market being open. And, oh, you know what? I didn't want to do that. Wait a second. Stop. And now. Sorry, I'm trying to set up live on TikTok. Go live. I always forget to add a market, stock market close. Stock close. Ask me anything. Coverage. With coverage? Yeah, go live. I like going live on the talks and the tubes. Got that set up in front of me. Okay. So let me get this set up so I can see the chat. What happened today? So we had the IMF meeting, which was interesting, with Christina Georgieva and Christine Lagarde. That was rough. And the market reacted rough. Although this sell-off took me off guard. I won't lie. That sell-off into the close, didn't really see that coming out the way it did. Over $10 drop in one day was definitely more than I expected for this market. So that was interesting. Yeah, definitely to say. Now, the big thing here is we're seeing a lot of volume, some buying coming in, and I do expect some sort of bounce. So headed into next week, I did buy a small Apple call position. Now, this is contrary to my belief that we're probably going to melt down in the rest of the month. But the thing I'm thinking about is there's a few more earnings, and I think we'll see those kind of cave out, and then we'll see some more lows on the way. So when I'm looking at this sell-off, I'm thinking this is a big move. This is a very emotional move. I don't think retail traders have any clue what's going on, especially since they didn't see this sell-off coming. This sell-off, let me reiterate, I predicted this sell-off last Friday. I told you what the top would be. We hit the top exactly, and then we came down big. So, today was a really big money day. Fantastic day. Even though I didn't hold my calls all the way down, I actually cut most of my calls at that 442 range when we were bouncing out. And then I hold some of my longer dated puts through this. I'm still holding them. So I'm actually playing that Apple call, looking for some alpha and the Apple calls into next week with the earnings being on the 29th, I believe. Maybe it's the 28th. Nonetheless, it doesn't really matter because I will cut them before the earnings. I'm expecting to run up in the earnings. I will not hold Apple calls before the earnings. In a bearish market like this, usually big bearish markets are led with a few big caps getting slaughtered. All right. The first one we saw get slaughtered was Facebook. The next one that got slaughtered was Netflix. And I think the one that everyone's waiting for the bad news on is Apple. Now, Apple's had supply chain issues, and actually, let's pull this graph up real quick. Let's show this, and I'll even show this to TikTok. I'll show this to you on TikTok. Come see how bad these supply chain issues are. Yes, look at this. This is ships waiting to deload or discharge in Shanghai. And how do I flip this screen around for you, TikTok? Can I do it? Okay, we're just gonna do this. You see that? I can't tell if TikTok can see that. There we go. I'm using the Discord cam to see if TikTok can see it. All right. That's a graph showing the ships waiting to load or discharge at Shanghai. As you can see, the worst wasn't in COVID. The worst supply chain issues are now. And China's in these lockdowns now. All right. We thought the worst was back in COVID. This is the worst by a lot. That's really concerning. All right. And the markets tried to ignore this. We saw last week China suddenly came out and they wanted to pump stimulus into the market. Obviously, that was a really bearish sign. All right. They told investors to buy stocks. When has China done that? China's never done that. China's never out here like, you guys, we're going to pump this, hop in this market right away. And in response, we saw some short squeezes, but since then we've seen Yang, which is which is a bearish ETF, a leveraged one, and actually show TikTok again. This graph here of Yang, it's been straight up. All right. On Sunday, I was like, hey, it might be a good time to hop in Yang. As soon as we hopped in Yang, it's been up 20% this month. We're up 60% on our calls. So, yeah, been reading this market really well right now. I also set up some longs on TLT. That's our long bonds. Because I expect that to turn around. Hey, Echo. I'm sorry. I got a cat that's getting into stuff. What are you doing, punk? So... yes, market's been reading it well. We're seeing the sell-off right here. Man, and I'll tell you what, if these Apple calls bleed, I'm fine. I'm fine with it. My longs puts on SPY will bleed. I do expect some sort of emotional bounce back, some sort of bounce. But below this 440, I mean, it could be rough. I said we probably see 420 by the end of the month. But seeing it move this fast, even I didn't anticipate such a big move all in one day. And I mean, I'm watching it print right now. It's rough. People are trying to buy the bottom, and it's keep coming down. Actually, let's take a look at Netflix here. And actually, holy cow, do I remember the ticker for Netflix? Yeah, I don't think Netflix has hit the lows. I even tweeted on Twitter that this 211 would probably be the low. And we did hit that today. Let me see the accumulation here. Sorry, I'm trying to kind of look at our moving averages. I probably need to pull up Webull because I have Webull set up for all those moving averages. It's going to pull up on my side screen right here. Yeah, we're not getting enough accumulation here. Netflix might go all the way down to 200. So the bleeding might not be done there. Now, post-market, what we got coming up at the end of this market? Snapchat. Snapchat earnings are going to be coming up, and I'm bearish on Snapchat. Now, I'm not trading into the earnings, though. So one of the things I'm thinking about on Snapchat is if that turns out bad, we'll probably see it ripple out to Facebook. Then we got Twitter. Twitter's a whole other thing. And actually, let's pull this up to kind of cover what's been going on over at Twitter. I'm pretty sure I posted it here in the Discord. Remember, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on TikTok, if you're in the Discord, we're sharing stuff all the time. The link's in the bio. I post trades in there, post news in there all day. This is what I do. So make sure to check that out if you want to keep up with what's going on. Now, Elon's got a few people together. Yeah. And he wants to do a $46.5 billion worth of funding. So what do I think about this? It's so hard to say. They did the poison pill. Sorry, I'm doing this live, so my mind's going to need to really think about that for a moment. I think that it could be bullish in the fact that if he pulls it off, the stock will immediately bounce that buyout price. However, the fact that the stock has not already done the bounce kind of tells me that the market doesn't think it will actually pull through. So, because you got lots of battling forces here. First of all, it's very obvious that the board of directors on Snapchat does not actually care about shareholders. If they did, they would have gone through with the Elon purchase, or they would have at least shopped around for other buyers. The fact I do not care shows me that they will continue with this poison pill. They're completely fine with diluting the shares. They're completely fine with doing things that are illogical at this point. Because, and they're coming out and they're saying things like, oh, we need to restrict free speech for the benefit of democracy. I mean, that's such a, I've said it over and over. That's such a batshit crazy thing to say out loud and to not think that everyone's going to think you're an absolute lunatic. Because there's no historical precedent for it. There's no one in the right mind that would say something so absolutely, utterly stupid. Because free speech is what builds democracies. The lack of free speech is what creates totalitarian environments. But there's this huge social push where people really think that they're in the right by saying ludicrous things like that. So considering that this is no longer a thing that's driven by money or just by finance or just by big buyouts, but rather, social virtue signaling, it kind of makes it fuzzy for me. I kind of don't like the situation. I will say I did buy up some Twitter shares yesterday when Elon was kind of tweeting some ambiguous stuff, and we can actually check back in on how that's played out. It was such a small position I picked up, and I almost bought puts against it, or sold call. I almost sold. I thought about selling calls against it, and I thought about buying puts against the position, but I haven't made any other moves since then. It's slightly up since I bought at the 45 range. It's at 46, headed for 47. Now, I think that this could be pulled in sentiment depending on how Snapchat does. And let's think about here too. The board of directors not taking the purchase from Elon. So one of the things I haven't mentioned yet is, think about it. Their whole argument is, excuse me, sorry. I'm kind of getting over being sick. The board of directors' whole argument with not selling to Elon is, what they're trying to say, that is, besides all the social things, but the business side that they're trying to, I'm trying to think of a word to describe it. They're trying to piece together and work their way in, even though it doesn't make any sense, is say, well, we can get better price out of the shares because of all the things we're doing for the company. But if you pull out a big graph of this company and you look at the changes that the new CEO's made, it's like, dude, that argument works against you because you've already had all this time to make changes in the company to benefit the share price. But if you discount the huge gap up that you got during the COVID stimulus where everything was melting up, just in general, and you just look at the actual fundamentals of the company, they've done nothing for this company for years. It's just been stagnant. And all of a sudden they're saying, oh, but if you just gave us more time, we'd get more out of it. Nah. You're well past any sort of logical reasoning for that argument to make any sense. So, yeah, that's the company-specific things. Let's talk about the IMF meeting that happened today. Because that's important. That's what this market's reacting to, right? And we saw the small emerging markets come out and say, hey, we can't do anything to help ourselves in this environment or to help our people in this environment. These big central banks in these big countries have all these different tools they can use to help stimulate markets. But they were coming out and just saying, like, look, all we can do is print money. And that's it. And that actually hurts us in the long run. And so they're putting together a big, large trust to try and help emerging markets. But they're getting slammed from every side. They're getting slammed from probably food shortages coming up. We have to think about the planting cycle, the global planting cycle. So they're probably talking about 8 months from now, you're going to start seeing massive food shortages. And then at the same time, they're getting all these natural disasters, lots of flooding in different parts of the world. Hurricanes are starting, we're in that season. So, and then they got all this monetary issues as well. And there's so little they can actually do to fix it. And so now is that how that pertains to U.S. markets? When the world hurts and bleeds, we feel it last, we feel it least. We're the 1% of the world. So it's important to remember that the effects to us will be a lot more numbed than the rest of the world. However, it's just really concerning to think about. So make sure you're caught up with the dollar milkshake theory. When emergency markets are doing really poorly, they have to print money to buy more dollars. And we've seen countries start to collect more dollars, and that's why DXY dollar futures have continued to climb, and I expect this to hit like 105. We did see some dipping today, which actually is interesting. Let's pull this up actually on the 5-minute. But yeah, coming into the speech, it just rallied back up, and I think it will continue to rally probably to 105. And we saw it hit 101. My gosh, excuse me. Coming over this sickness, but yeah, overall it was really bearish, and we saw them try to say some bullish things. Some of them were saying, I'm not who was it that was saying that? It was I think it was Christina, whatever, I'm just gonna butcher it, but the IMF chief came out and said that she's not a hawk or a dove. She's an owl. So apparently she's from Hogwarts. And she was trying to say, oh, well, we need to follow the data and we just haven't seen the data yet. And I'm just, I'm like, man, all these economists and hedge funds have plenty of data. They've made plenty of predictions, yet these people are trying to pretend like they don't see all the catastrophic signals about a recession. And we even saw them, in the, I don't think anyone bothered to watch the Zoom meeting that occurred, but there's a Zoom meeting before the big IMF meeting. And there was a pre-recorded message from Powell. I did actually bother to watch that, and it was hard to watch because I was watching these people say, oh, well, markets should stabilize by the end of the year, but we also have to recognize that the chances of recession are climbing every day, currently at 1/3 of a chance. And I'm like, how can you, those two things are completely contrary to one another. Like, it'd be like if I came out and said, well, we'll probably get aliens by the end of the year, but if you look at this data with food prices, you'd be sitting there going, what do you mean aliens? What is he talking about? Can he back up that claim? That's how I feel when I watch it, where I'm like, there's just ridiculous claims that seem hopeful, but nothing to back them up whatsoever in the slightest. And it just seems far out crazy illogical to me. And that's how I felt watching the whole IMF thing. But I think the market finally woke up a bit to how bad things are likely going to get. And I mean, seeing this continue to sell off, I honestly thought retail traders would try and blow this off. Right now, as I'm talking, UVXY, which is our short-term volatility, important ticker to watch, this UVXY is currently hitting 1331. And that's a huge bearish range for me. So we could see we could see us climb right back down to the low 430s. So it's crazy. I think we could see another gap down into the close. We'll see if this sustains into next week. I have long-term puts. If we're talking about lows for the year into the summer, I see that coming in at probably 380 is what I have. Our lows coming in for the summer. 1 second. I'm going to blow my nose because I'm still getting over something. I don't know, some sort of cold. Holy cow. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now for these markets and for this meltdown. I've already done all the training for today. Well, I should say, because I said I was kind of playing some contrarian positions right now with the SPY puts and the Apple calls. But let me be clear. On that big move, made like 300%, went ahead, took a lot of cash. So a bunch of cash right now, some positions. Of course, remember, if you're a Discord subscriber, you get all my trades pinged to you in real time when I do them. And that includes swings, which I'm kind of getting better at. Exits are hard. And I've talked to lots of other day traders that kind of do stuff like this and ask them about how they do exits. And most of them are like, I never post exits. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm not the only one that kind of struggles with posting exits. Kind of made me feel better. And we'll be doing some podcasts actually with some other day traders and people who run their own Discords, because I love talking to them and about the communities they've built. We all do it differently. If you're aware of the long-term goal of our Discord, we want to turn it into our own like public hedge fund. That's our goal there, is to make it like the most official thing possible. I had to talk to, the president of FINRA, and he was like, what is Discord? I was like, uh-oh. We're going to have to explain this. So, yeah, that's kind of what we got going on, some of the things, future plans that we have. And, yeah, so let me tune in actually to the YouTube and see if there's been any questions, any comments, because we are live over there. And let me just get this arranged. Anyone on the TikTok, have we seen? I don't see any questions here. If you have any questions about the market, any stock you want me to talk about, actually, I can set you up. Like, is that better, TikTok? Oh, that's not helpful. How about that? Is that better? You can kind of see. You can still kind of see me, huh? Oh, you're hooked up. Your connected to the boom mic. Anyways, I did this behind me in past streams, but we'll take this Mexican tiki and set you up over here. That way you can see the screen. How about that? But then you can't hear me. That's a terrible idea. Okay, wait. We're going to take tiki over here. I need a professional studio setup like Meet Kevin. This is getting obnoxious. And this thing's not tightening or working with me. All right. Pull this up. Mute it. No one in the comments yet. One person watching on the YouTube. Man, our viewership's been doing a lot better, though, recently, especially on TikTok. So, that's fine. I saw we got about 50 people in here, but no one's asking questions. I'd miss it. Ask me anything. Come on, guys. That's what I'm here for. Challenge me a bit. Challenge me on my knowledge. Try to catch me saying something wrong or slipping up. I don't know. Mess with me a bit. Make fun of me, at least. Please. So we're just watching this market just kind of melt down. Look, that's a huge volume candle coming in right there, by the way. Maybe some buyers are finally coming in. And that's not what I meant to click. It's interesting because it seems like liquidity has been coming back overall. But volume today blew out rest of the week's volume out of the water. Actually, we could probably see that better, a little bit better if we go to the 15-minute graph. Sorry. You can kind of see the graphs better. Maybe I should scoot up. Anywho. Oh. Move my wallet and notes out of the way. So, yeah. By the way, if anyone's wondering why the chair I usually sit in is over here, and why I'm sitting in this, it's because I was a weightlifter for years and years. And it makes it hard to sit all day and trade. So I'm constantly switching out different chairs. I've gone through so many different fancy office chairs to try and come up with different solutions to this. And I mean, this even in front of me is set up so that it can stand. Whatever, I'll pick that up later. And but I also don't really like standing with the keyboard down here, and I still haven't got this set up perfectly the way I want it, but and I might make some big changes here soon, but not quite yet. We'll wait for more traffic to come in and more to justify it. Maybe when I can actually monetize my channel, then I can start justifying actually building a studio room like Meet Kevin or something. But we'll wait for that to roll around, or some sponsors. I mean, we do have a sponsor that we're talking to right now, actually, which is pretty exciting. So, yeah, I'm trying to prevent dead noise. Was there anything else from the IMF meeting that I thought was interesting, or any other company that was so interesting? You know what I think's interesting right now is actually Roblox. The IMF meeting, I mean, I didn't think there was anything new. Obviously, the market did. Because the market's been la 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 la. Macro doesn't matter. And the world falling apart is fine. That's how I feel like this market's been. Yeah. Roblox is interesting to me because this is an all-time low for the company at $34 right here. I've been keeping up with them loosely. Exited them when I exited a lot of tech, and this company obviously hit irrational highs at one point. I feel like this is a great company. I feel like a lot of people have trouble reading through its balance sheet and really doing like a fundamental analysis of the company, because a lot of their funds are in these gift cards that they offer. So a lot of people are holding like these Roblox points. I'm not even sure if that's what they call it. It's like same concept as like an Apex coin or Riot points for League of Legends. That's technically money in the company's pocket because you can't use it for anything else. And so it's just future earnings that they're going to have. So when you're reading through it and you're reading through like their cash on hand, you need to incorporate those extra funds as well. And then we think about the partnerships that Roblox has. Like they're going to start doing the concerts, the live concerts and music festivals in the metaverse. I think that'll be wildly popular. I think there's a lot of people who would like to see those and experience those, who don't always drive out to them. And then there's also like the drinking age issue, and there's none of those issues if you're just have your VR headset on and you're watching it. So I think that'll be surprisingly cool. And for the future, for like sports events and stuff, I mean, if you're watching a UFC match or a football game with your VR headset on, you're always front row. Look, I think that's awesome. And yet, despite all those awesome things, and despite the fact that I don't think this company will collapse because of all the debt it has or anything extreme like that, you know, this is the fears I have about, let's say, Uber, even though lots of people love Uber. I think Uber's in a race against self-driving, which they gave up on, by the way. But I think Roblox is very interesting at this current price range. This for $34. Yeah. So what else is there from the IMF meeting? I will say that the chief of the IMF said that one of the fears she has about what's going on in the world today is the madness of man. She said that. She said the madness of man and not so much women. And I was just sitting there like, am I in a gender studies classroom right now? Or am I watching a world economic discussion? Like, what's going on? Why the snide comments? It seems so. And let me be clear. I'm not someone here that's like, I'm sick of all this man hate. I'm not even like that. Although I think that's a justified sentiment to have in reaction to a comment like that. But my whole thing is like, I'm just so sick of generalizations, whether it's generalizations from political parties or generalizations from, certain special interest groups, or just there's no more nuance in any sort of discussion on any sort of topic. And that includes with people in the market, people on Twitter who are like, you're either a bull or you're a bear. It's like, no, like, just make money. Just make money and please shut up. That's the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters. I don't care. But like, me making money off being bearish is not going to change the market being bearish. It's not going to help any of the bad things going on. But it can benefit me. And if I'm helping my community be aware of certain black swan events or the troubles in the world, then I'm going to do that. And if you get emotional about it and you're like, I don't like him because he's bearish and negative, it's like, I don't care. Obviously, you're not someone I can help because you're stuck in your feels, and so be it. But like, when it comes to these generalizations people want to make, not game for it, not here for it, not subscribing to it. I'm going to follow the data. I'm going to follow the facts. I'm going to follow what seems to be the reality of the situation that I see to me at the best way that I can approximate it. And when I'm making those assertions, which by the way are almost never assertions, they're usually probabilities, because this is a game of statistics. So when I'm trying to factor in the probabilities of what I see occurring, I'm always taking in as many differing perspectives as I can. And if you're trying to get to a point where you could be a full-time day trader and you're trying to or even you're just trying to maximize your income potential, I'll tell you right now, please always challenge your beliefs as much as possible. I still listen to Peter Schiff, even though I think he's a giant goofball, who's been preaching about gold for 2 decades, despite the fact that it's been flat. Why? Because it's so valuable to do. To always challenge your preconceived notions. And there's a lot of people who won't listen to people because they just straight up disagree with them. And I don't think there's anything dumber that you could possibly do. Being open-minded will lead you to success. Being open-minded, kind will lead you to lots of success in life, regardless of what your goals are, regardless of what you're chasing. So, yeah, that's my comments on that. We got 1 minute till the market close. That's what I'm seeing there. Just kind of, and there's the bell. Just to kind of recap, We got the sell-off I expected. The sell-off was more than I expected to come in. So I'm expecting a short-term bounce because of Apple earnings. I previously said market will probably hit 420 by the end of the month. But due to how fast that moved without any really new news, it kind of makes me think it's just an emotional reaction, and we could see a lot of emotional buyers come right back into the markets. Because it's hard for me to feel like smart money watched that meeting and really learned anything new. Because I didn't learn anything new, and I don't have a team of people helping me with this. So maybe that's a bit presumptuous of an assessment, but that's kind of what's on my mind right now when I'm looking at this. So I'm thinking we could see a bounce in expectation of Apple earnings, because I was expecting slow sell-off after the meeting as the market starts to process and come to realizations. But a big dramatic move like that to me without any sort of flash crash, which I guess we should talk about kind of also the Russian-Ukraine situation, because we're hitting a new phase of that. There was 800 million more sent to the Ukraine effort. There's a bunch of people in the Discord that are actually in the service, and they were sending me pictures of the weapons and materials being sent to Ukraine, which is kind of surreal to see, but also kind of cool because we have this huge community. It's a lot bigger than me, and I love hearing from them. But that conflict picking back up and kind of picking up the pace isn't the right word, kind of picking up in the aggression that we're seeing could cause some more uncertainty in the markets. And actually, we could actually take a look at and this is interesting from oil. I expected a bigger pullback on oil. I have shares, but I sold my calls when we started to kind of come down from this high. I didn't sell the absolute high, almost never catching the absolute bottom or absolute high. Don't really care if I do either. Profits are profits. We don't look back. We just collect. Why can't I think of Lockheed Martin? I'm pretty sure it's LMT. It is. And that just sold off today. Now that's interesting. On the news of Biden giving 800 million more to Ukraine in materials, we saw this sold off. So what do we see Boeing do? So this is a very broad market move. Let me just pull up some indexes real quick. Hello? Yeah, QQQ had a dramatic move. Not even a bounce here. Actually, let me pull up this 30-minute just so I can get a better view of this. Let me just get a better view of these bonds. Yeah. TLT starting to kind of argue with the market. And TNX is starting to kind of argue. Kind of seeing these topping out. Bottoming out, topping out is what I should say. We could see TNX be a little bit more... well, I mean, obviously it's going to be the most sensitive to interest rate discussion. But what I'm looking for is the TLT to start arguing with the Fed and say, nah, you can't long-term raise these rates. Now, if we see a crash, this will jump. And let's just make sure we paint this picture of this crash here, literally from 140 to pretty much 180. If you were in calls right here, you made over 1,000% easily. And then if you shorted right here, probably another 1,000%. Shorted right here. Now, right about here, this is when I got burned. This is probably my worst. Actually, that's only early. No, that's right. What about January? So it's actually right about here. I tried to go long, thinking, okay, this was when the market was trying to decide whether or not they could pull off the interest rates. And right here, we got like my worst trade of the year so far. I mean, it wasn't that bad. We've got a lot of big ones this year. And this was paired with SPY puts. which were playing out around the same time. And I'm trying again to see if we get that reversal in sentiment. Always important to watch bonds. Bond traders, all they look for is GDP and interest rates. Growth and interest rates. That's all they look for. They don't care about companies. They don't care about, when they're focalized traders that are usually more mature traders who have more experience. So they're usually the most accurate. So anytime, that's why bond yield inversions are so important to watch. Because they're usually more accurate than the general market. There's no Robinhood traders that are like, I'm going to go play in bonds. So, and actually we can pull up Snap here and see if we're getting any sort of reaction out of this after earnings. And I'm going to pull up my news over here and see if I see anything about the Snapchat news. I don't see anything on TOS, but let's see if our actually, that is big. Musk says if our Twitter bid succeeds, we will defeat spam bots or die trying. So the news about Snapchat hasn't come out yet. But, and actually, let me share this in the Discord real quick for Discord members. I'm going to share it in the general chat for everyone as well. All right, so what do you want to think about when you're thinking about, let me think what the statistic was. I think they delete 8 billion bots every year off of Twitter. Okay? So think about how many users that is. You're talking about 2 billion per quarter. I mean, just ludicrous numbers. These are usually Russian and Chinese bots. They don't want to delete bots. The board of directors doesn't because that's a huge user drop off, right? And that's just the accounts they actually catch. That's not all of them because there's lots they don't catch. Because these bots have gotten smarter and smarter. Some of them will have conversations, arguments with one another, and their normal systems for deleting them does not catch them. If Elon Musk actually takes over Twitter and deletes all these bots, and we get a clean communication platform that's second, third largest in the world. Some people were having a fit with me because I said it was the largest, but anyone who's thinking of Facebook as a communication center and not just like a neighborly watch list, I don't know if that's, or a club, whatever. I'm detracting. The thing about getting rid of all the bots off Twitter, I think would be huge and really bullish for Twitter. And it's changes like that he wants to make that make me bullish. That's why I did buy a small share position yesterday. It's so minor, but like I'm so hopeful. I feel like we could have so much better conversations. I'd maybe actually enjoy using the social media platform if things like that actually succeed. And speaking of which, I'll probably try to in the future to at least once a week go live on Twitter, because we do get good interactions there, and probably definitely do more TikTok lives as well. And I need to start titling these different and encourage people to ask questions if they have questions. I usually think when most people come across a day trader, though, they're just like, I don't know what to ask, but tell me something important. I think that's pretty accurate. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking with there. Yeah, market's closed. I'm out of things to say. That's what was on my mind. I didn't even think I was going to be able to live stream today. I've been feeling sick, and I was supposed to have a meeting, but that meeting got canceled, so I got back home, and I was like, well, let's go live, say hi to everyone, kind of give an update. I know a lot happened today, so I wanted to say hello, and we'll see if my 420 prediction comes through. And even though the big movement today looks like a positive for that theory, and actually, as I'm talking, Snapchat is hitting the bucket hard. $5 drop so far. Let's check the news. Come on, Twitter. You're usually so quick to pick up this news. There it is. Snap sees second quarter revenue 20% to 25%. So they actually raised guidance. Estimated 28%. And for Elon Musk, Thoma Bravo in talks to partner on Twitter bid. I don't know Thoma Bravo. I don't know who that is. I'm going to share that in the Discord so that I can look that up later. That should be interesting. I'll probably make a TikTok about that. Oh, we got an article about it. Chicago-based buyout firm that's focused on the technology center. It's just a buyout firm? What, it's just a bunch of angel investors? Doesn't want to foot the entire bill for the acquisition. Past investments included software giant McAfee. I forgot McAfee relisted. It's one of the few companies that got delisted and then relisted, actually. So this is interesting. They're going to partner up. Okay, Musk announced Thursday morning he lined up $21 billion in cash. And the co-investors make up the rest. So they've got $25.5 billion then. If he's got the 21, okay, yep. All right, maybe they can pull it off. Keep in mind, while that's getting done, they're also going to do a poison pill and do a bunch of share purchases at a lower price. I would need to do some historical research on how that plays out. I only know what a poison pill is, and I only know what it allows the directors to do. But I don't think I've seen one or paid attention to one in the decade of trading that I've done. So I'm not sure how that actually will affect the stock market price. Keep reminded, poison pills meant to keep out a takeover. So how that'll actually play out, we'll have to do research on that tonight. So just got assigned my homework. All right, back to Twitter. I mean, Snapchat. Q1 was a miss. Oh, it's barely missed. Barely missed. 1.6 billion. Over the 1.07 billion estimate. So they missed by 10 million. Keep in mind, earnings calls almost never matters. Unless it's a massive beat, it almost never matters. Guidance is what matters. And that raise in guidance should be good for the stock. So let's see. Yeah, we saw some bounce back. Wow, it went all the way down to $22. Okay, so let's pull over here. I don't like to. I'm kind of weird about keeping those there. And that one there. I keep accidentally covering up that corner box. Okay, so Facebook did react in sentiment, which did expect. But all of these are bouncing back, and I think they should bounce back because guidance on Snapchat was good. That raise in guidance should be what matters. And I was bearish. And looking from that movement, I'm glad I didn't play it. Everyone's probably likely going to get burned. I was looking at the options. Looked like a 50-50 into the earnings was what the options were pricing. So what we're probably going to see is anyone who tried to play that on the earnings play, which, by the way, This is the first Snapchat earnings I did not play in like 3 years. So I'm kind of happy to see it not have any dramatic moves because this stock usually loves to move after earnings. But over time, markets tend to get better and better and better at pricing into earnings. And when I saw that this was 50-50 and had, over 200% implied volatility into the move, I was like, this looks like it's just going to kill premiums. And it looks like it's trying to appropriately price it in. So with that rise in guidance, though, I do expect it to be a good thing. And, as this market, post this reaction continues to develop, unless we see overly bearish sentiment, we could see this stock start to climb back again, and it could look appealing even. If it does continue to sell off, I think it just makes it look more appealing. So that's kind of where my mind's at. I think overall I'm still gonna be more focused on Twitter. Remember, my big beef with Snapchat is, where are the AR innovations? Why are you not getting involved in NFTs? Why are you not trying to do more stuff around art? Incorporating, I want them to do geographical placed NFTs at major cities. So you can walk around the city, you see a piece of art, and you pull out your Snapchat app and you look at it. And then you can click on the art, which is paired to an NFT that you can then buy. Okay? Think about that. Turn the whole world into a major art gallery. And they're like, you have an NFT, you can pay to place it wherever you want in the whole freaking world. And then someone can randomly come buy it, or they can look online at a massive shop and say, oh, this NFT exists here, and they can pay to move it if they want, or they can leave it where it's at. Like, that whole system is already made in Snap Maps. You're just building on top of that the rest of that integration. And I've literally messaged engineers at Snapchat on LinkedIn and said, please do this. Pretty please do this. And obviously they ignored me, but I still think it'd be super cool. Anyways, that's how we're going to end the stream today. Thank you for everyone that came out and said hi. Hopefully you found this helpful, informative in some way, shape, or form. I'll be making some TikToks, kind of recapping some of the stuff that I talked about today. Make sure you check out the YouTube. If you missed the engineering podcast that I did with our two engineers talking about American energy and infrastructure, we also talked about EV vehicles and batteries and nuclear energy. Make sure you check that out. There's great content over there. I learned a lot. I was really happy to be able to do that podcast with them. Love your beautiful faces, and I will see you on Sunday. What's today? Today's Thursday. I will see you tomorrow, actually. So, yay.